I think this Ray Fisher topic is very, very similar to the John Boyega conversation that we had before.
Yeah.
The only real difference in this, and I think this does matter as it relates to some of the casting as it relates to black actors, specifically male black actors. John Boyega, for as talented as he is still from the United Kingdom. He is still from the United Kingdom. He's not an American actor. There are still certain parts that may be available to him and certain looks that are available to him based on the fact that he's from the United Kingdom. You know what I'm saying? There's parts that he could get casted for based off of him being British alone without any type of crossover appeal to American audiences. But as it relates, and we can get into Flashpoint as well, you know what I'm saying? But as it relates to this actor with the part of Cyborg and the phasing out of this character for future plans, like at this current moment on Doom Patrol, there's already another actor playing the part of Cyborg.
Facts.
even though even if you don't watch Doom Patrol, there's already another Cyborg on that TV show. Which, in all honesty, bro, like Cyborg shouldn't even be on that show when there's already a Titans live action TV show. Whatever the fuck. Anyway, the only thing that I kind of want to get into here that sticks out to me personally is that when this entire DC extended cinematic universe was first conceived, starting with Superman, Man of Steel back in 2013, leading into Man of Steel, and then going into the Justice League, Wonder Woman, Aquaman. The only two characters that really were not proven, that needed to prove something, in my opinion, were Aquaman and Cyborg. By the time we got the Justice League, the Flash on CW had already been introduced. That show had already been on at least 3-4 plus seasons. There was already a built-in audience for that TV series, even though to movie-going audience, we didn't know shit about the Flash, right?
Right, but it was still a proven concept that could work due to the
Exactly.
TV series. Yeah.
Exactly. The only, and even then, Jason Momoa was on Game of Thrones. Like he was on Game of Thrones. We already seen him as Khal Drogo, even though those are two different characters. He already played Conan in a live
Right.
action movie that nobody went to see. Going into that endeavor, the only two characters that really needed to prove something were Aquaman and Cyborg. In hindsight being 2020, in your personal opinion, who had the most to lose here? And what character was failed the most? Is there another character other than Cyborg that you can think that is a part of that Justice League roll call that was failed more by Warner Brothers and DC Studios, or however you want to call it, than Cyborg and Ray Fisher?
To be completely frank with you, man, it was Henry Cavill, Superman. I mean, to be fair with how everyone else kind of got their, it's 2021. We still don't have a sequel to Man of Steel. We still don't have a proper sequel. They're doing a fucking CW show on his character. Get the fuck out of here, man. Like that's how much deep shit Superman is. So
Now, I don't disagree with that. The only counterpoint that I'm gonna make to that is that I mean we already had Smallville that was on the WB before it was a CW for 10 years plus,
yeah, that's
right?
true. Right.
You know, Supergirl might have already been in the works back in 2015, 2016 era. Like they were always gonna figure out a way to get a dollar out of the S on that chest, right?
Mm.
Prior to Aquaman debuting on in that Justice League movie, the running gag about Aquaman is that on the show Entourage on HBO back in the day, the main character Vincent Chase made his bones playing Aquaman. Like Aquaman was really a joke. But
Yeah, yeah,
like
you're right. You're right.
digress. Entourage was a funny ass TV show. Entourage was a damn good TV show. If anything, Entourage made Mark Wahlberg likable, but that's a different conversation. Anyway, with Cyborg and specifically Ray Fisher, I think with him being an American actor, with him being an African American actor, there was more that could have been gained for him specifically in being highlighted playing that part than anybody else who was involved with the Justice League project. Because Gal Gadot was always going to be a star playing Wonder Woman. Jason Momoa had that appeal of looking different from most of the leading men in Hollywood, whether it be
Hmm.
for any reason you want to name. He looked different from all of the other guys who were getting highlighted, and he looked different enough for you to be interested in seeing him play Aquaman, right?
Right, right.
Henry Cavill already had the built-in appeal of being from the United Kingdom, to where if he failed as Superman, just off of the merit of him being a British actor playing the part of Clark Kent, he was gonna get other parts. Like as a British actor, he's gonna get casted playing a part of a British man regardless. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't see him over here, right? I could be out of pocket with saying that, but I'm just calling it what it is. Like the
You,
British
you,
market, but with him being a British actor, there are still outlets available to him as an actor. He was able to play the part of the Witcher, regardless of how good or bad you felt he was in Superman. You know what I'm saying? Like there's
yeah.
more opportunities available to him just based off of the fact that he's a British actor because the market there is different than it is over here. I'm willing to bet Henry Cavill probably made his bones as an actor in the United Kingdom long before we knew who he was in the United States, right?
Right, right.
Ben Ben Affleck, there's not much you can say about Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck won a fucking Oscar as a director before he was even casted as Batman. This man won Best
Facts.
Picture. This man won Best Picture at the Academy Awards as a director before even being casted as Bruce Wayne. Like him being Batman was just something that was there. You know what I mean? Ezra Miller was a young up and coming actor, but he's also British, if I'm not mistaken, right? So there's same
Yeah.
conversation. And there's other things that might be in play there as well. In my opinion, Ray Fisher as Cyborg not only had the most to prove in that part, but also had the most to gain because we never seen that character in a live action capacity. And he was relatively new on the scene in terms of these triple A blockbuster type movies, right? So
True.
it does bother me a little bit knowing that one, there was supposedly some tension on the set, but more than likely, post Snyder Cut, you're never going to see him play that part ever again. And not only that, but during that time, that character was still portrayed in a lower priority type of series called Doom Patrol. So
Right.
the question I want to ask you is number one, hindsight being 2020, would you have even put that character in that position or put that actor in that position? And number two, do you think that that's fair treatment for that actor who's trying to make his name in Hollywood to even be put in that position?
Damn, man. And in hindsight 2020, we all know the real deal. We know who should have been casted in that role. We know what hero should have been in that role. And it's not Cyborg. Cyborg never worked in the Justice League. And they put him in New 52. I'm pretty sure he's had other iterations where he's worked with the Justice League, but That shit doesn't work. He belongs with the Teen Titans. The character of color who they should have had, who would have been on equal billing and equal footing, who would have been booked the same as the heavyweight champion, would have been Jon Stewart as Green Lantern. That would have
Facts.
been the character to have. You wanted a character, let's be honest, they wanted a character of color in the film. So they picked Cyborg because they wanted some diversity to the cast. But it should have been Jon Stewart and it should have been Green Lantern. I don't care that Green Lantern came out with Ryan Reynolds. I don't care, oh, you need a proper explanation. All these guys got introduced with the freaking YouTube video and Batman versus Superman for the most part. Put him in the film. You can explain it later with his own solo movie. That would have been the
Yep.
equal billing and status of a character against the rest of them. So, and
Mm-hmm.
to have Ray Fisher as Cyborg, who was basically the weak link of the team, and I'm not even saying that to be disrespectful, but it is. He was booked as mid card at best amongst that whole roster, you know.
Yep.
And he
Yep.
and this is like homegrown talent, right? Go ahead, man. Go. You already know the
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Came up through developmental, got a couple dark matches on Sunday Night Heat. You know what I'm saying? Came out on Monday Night Raw, and then what the fuck? Like, if we being real here, if we're being all the way real, no disrespect, but I mean, Cyborg was Rocky Maivia.
Yep. Yep.
Cyborg was Rocky Maivia. He wasn't The Rock. He was Rocky Maivia, and it's fucked up because you don't want to think of it in terms of what that could do to someone's career, but that's a situation that never should have happened because Warner Brothers was shook. Warner Brothers was shook, and they pussyfooted around the Green Lantern. They thought that the Green Lantern was something that the name Green Lantern couldn't be approached in a way to make people interested in it because of the debacle that was that movie that came out in 2011. But that was the wrong move because I mean the guys across the street didn't give a fuck about that. They knew Spider-Man was still viable, but just needed to
Right.
be presented in a way that was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, we got at least two different videos up on the YouTube channel about the mishaps. But it's just fucked up that a mishap like this could potentially cost a young black actor out of a career potentially in Hollywood. Because I mean, again, I don't want to speak on things that are above my pay grade, but all it takes is for a black actor to get the reputation of being difficult to work with or insubordinate, and then you don't see them anymore. That's not necessarily fair to the individual performer or the individual actor if all of the facts are not presented. You know what I'm saying? Like, it came out later on that Joss Whedon was not the nicest guy to work with on set. And the only difference is that Jason Momoa corroborated some of these statements that Ray Fisher made, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, he was the only
Via
one that gave him support out of the whole crew for the most part,
right,
publicly.
right, publicly, yes. But the difference is that he's already a made guy. You know what I'm saying? He's already a made guy. There's no doubt as to whether or not you're gonna see him perform ever again in high profile settings or high profile types of movies. You know what I'm saying? He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't dependent upon being successful as Aquaman to carve out his path as an actor in Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? The
Yeah.
only other prominent role that I've seen Ray Fisher perform in was in True Detective season 3 back in 2019 on HBO. And that's just because I came across it. And it was like, damn, I recognize this dude. Where I seen this dude at? Like, oh shit, that's Cyborg right there. Oh, damn, okay. That's what's up. You see what I'm saying? There's a huge difference between being the headliner in a multi-million dollar film series potentially and being a supporting character on an HBO TV series. You see what I'm saying?
Big
Like,
difference. Yeah.
There's a huge difference there. So in my opinion, like the guy that had the most to gain in being put over by that situation was him playing that part. And I think, he's been let down a little bit. I don't want to use the term blackball because I hope that's not what happens, but more often than not, what's the most likely outcome?
It's a shame because, like you said, he is unprotected. He is the most vulnerable out of the whole crew in that whole movie, and
Right.
he needed the shine. He needed the highlight, and maybe Zack Snyder is going to do that for his proper vision. Maybe because obviously he has a better relationship with him. Because why would he come back for the reshoots? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the man who casted him. This is the man who gave him the shot. This is the man who supposedly behind his big break. So obviously that relationship is solid because he wouldn't have come back for the Snyder Cut to do the reshoots. But
We've already kind of addressed some of these situations and other conversations that we've had, but I just feel like that it's bullshit that in this instance, the guy who gets scapegoated or the guy who ends up losing the most in terms of post whatever the fuck it is that they're doing exposure happens to be African American, happens to be homegrown American talent, right? Like,
mm-hmm.
if you do research on Ray Fisher, you learn this man played Muhammad Ali in a Broadway fucking play. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Wow,
you see what I'm saying? Like,
shit, yeah,
and just the fact that a situation could arise to where, as a result of all of this misdirection and all of these bad decisions behind the scenes, the guy that ends up coming out of this with the most to lose just so happens to be the black guy. Like, I, that
yeah,
part of it to me is bullshit because it's not like the John Boyega situation again is different because with him being a British actor, there's other outlets for him to be able to perform as an artist to where even if you don't see him on this side of the pond, he can
mm-hmm.
still be appreciated for his abilities where he's from. Like
Right,
like you said, he already tested the market over there. He wouldn't have been casted as Finn in the Star Wars sequel trilogy if he didn't have chops over on his side of the pond. It's not like he just stepped off of the porch and got casted as Finn, right?
true, true, yeah. No,
So,
you're right.
the part of it that I just keep coming back to is like this is the guy that wasn't protected. And in all honesty, this is the guy that had the most to be able to gain. You know what I'm saying? If it's any indication, you know what I'm saying? If there's any indication as to what is possible and what you could do here, you know what I'm saying? Nobody cared about Cyborg going into the Justice League. But you could have easily highlighted that character and made him important to where people who look like me and to where your sister, my nieces and my nephew easily could be wearing cyborg t-shirts right now. But
Mm-hmm.
because of some shit that happened behind the scenes, that's never gonna happen now. You know what I'm saying? Nobody watches Doom Patrol. And
No,
I'm not saying that to be disrespectful, but if you were to tell if you were to tell your average person, hey man, you ever heard of Doom Patrol? No, what the fuck is Doom Patrol? Oh, Cyborg is on Doom Patrol. Oh, I thought Cyborg was in Justice League. Well, actually, Cyborg is a part of the Teen Titans, but they casted him in Justice League because they didn't want to cast Green Lantern. You see what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, what does the presentation for that character look like going into it? You know what I mean?
it's weak. It's definitely weak, man. And the context of what Warner Brothers was going through at the time, spending an extra 300 million. I mean, who knows the money they put to do the fucking reshoots for the Whedon cut to be theatrically released. I can easily see Ray Fisher just going through a situation at Warner Brothers. No one fucking cares because Warner Brothers is losing money on this project that they greenlighted, and nothing's turned out the way it wants to. So yeah, some shit's being swept underneath the rug. Yeah, some shit's probably getting done that's not supposed to happen. Yeah, I think Gal Gadot got a stunt double, body double to do the boob joke with the Flash. You know what I'm saying? I can totally see some shady shit going on with Whedon and Warner Brothers, and it just sucks that Ray Fisher was the one to kind of catch the biggest L of them all because of how new he was, because the character was not yet developed, and because of the fact that everyone else was established in some form or shape or way. And the fact that he's fighting now, the fact that knowing the risks, knowing that you may not find work in your career, especially during this time, especially during this pandemic where Hollywood's almost on damn shutdown of production of anything, and you're fighting for the truth at this point. You have to be. It can't be for financial gain. It can't be. I mean, there's some stupid shit saying he's only doing this because he wants attention and people to know his name
That's
because
bullshit.
everyone referred to as the guy who played Cyborg, but now people know his name is Ray Fisher because of this incident, and it's like you do understand he may not get another fucking job for doing this shit. This is not gonna work in his favor. It has to be from intentions of I'm doing what's just, I'm doing what's right. I want justice, or I want corrections made for the way I was treated on set. Something went down. That shit was they were trying to slide this shit under the rug, and I'm not going to
Right.
allow them to do that. It has to
Like,
be. There's no
yeah.
financial gain to go through what they're going through right now. There's no way you can tell me that this actor is willing to put his career and livelihood on the line to be right against Walter Hamada and the Warner Brothers Studios. Like,
And I'm gonna send you something here in a minute, bro. But like the part of it that mostly seems like bullshit to me, man, is like regardless of how you feel about what took place during the course of the Snyderverse, quote unquote. Regardless of how anybody feels about that, I just think that it's bullshit that there's a situation where somebody is in a position to where they're not protected when they're speaking against being treated a certain type of way. You know what I'm saying? Like
mm,
the only see what I'm saying? Okay, for example, if we're talking about basketball, where that's that's clearly a predominantly black dominated sport. If we're talking about basketball, if I'm not even gonna point out LeBron because LeBron is one of the greatest to ever do it. But if we're talking about basketball and you have an athlete who feels as though they're being mistreated, the NBA is gonna immediately address that situation because they know what they know. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
They don't have to be incentivized to make that situation right in support of the athlete that is generating revenue for the league. The
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate part about all of this is again back to what you were saying there. Like it's clear that everything in this situation is not balanced across the board like it should be. But the fact that you have a professional actor that has to go on social media to try to defend himself against things that are being put out, like that's bullshit. Like it should never get to the point where this man has to go on Twitter to dispute an article that's put out by a media platform saying, no, this isn't true. You know what I'm saying? Like what y'all are reporting is not true. Oh, well, the people who saw to it that overseen me being mistreated are still holding down the positions that they're holding down. Like it should never be a situation where this man has to defend himself to explain. You see what I'm saying? Like that shit just
Yeah.
doesn't add up. So there's an air to it. There's a part of it that just doesn't sit right. You know what I'm saying? There's something about that that doesn't pass the smell test in relation to what's being presented. Like in good conscience, it's fucked up to imagine that this whole endeavor is gonna go forward, knowing that there was someone who was mistreated, but not only was he mistreated, but he wasn't even protected on the way out. Because based off of this, not to jump the gun, but I mean, it's possible that you don't ever see Ray Fisher casted under the Warner Brothers umbrella as a result of some shit that could be happening behind the scenes. And that's fucked up because this is still a guy that's trying to make his bones, more or less. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
No, that's a good point. That's a whole studio that's not gonna work. Like that's a whole set of films that you can't audition for because you're basically blacklisted. You're blackballed from this place. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're blocked. That's it.
and I'm looking at like, bro, imagine this. Imagine being in a scenario like Ray Fisher on Twitter is literally hashtagging restore the Snyderverse.
Oh my god! Restore the Snyderverse.
Restore the Snyderverse. So think about that. Like again, I'm not gonna disrespect any performer that's trying to make a living, but just think about this. Knowing the critical reception and how the general public perceive everything to happen under that umbrella. Imagine being in a scenario where you're asking the general public to restore that. What came after that was so bad to where you wanted to go back to what it was before, even if what it was before wasn't a certain quality or held up to a certain regard. So what are
Right.
you supposed to do? Like, this whole situation, bro, just doesn't really sit right, man. You know what I'm saying?
No, it doesn't. And like we said before, it wasn't equal billing, man. It wasn't. You knew Wonder Woman. Everyone had their solo projects. Everyone was gonna get their solo movies. Cyborg was the most in the dark. We didn't. I don't think we had a clear date. It was like we're making a Cyborg movie, and now that was all you got. You know what I'm saying? Like we knew Flash was probably gonna get Flashpoint. We knew that Cyborg was gonna appear in the Flash movie. Everyone kind of
Right.
had somewhat of a concrete plan for the next step, the next sequel. You know what I'm saying? It's like everyone on the team with a contract, everyone got extended except for you, and you're like, what the
Yeah.
fuck? Like, why am I not getting extended? Where's my extension? And you're like,
and oh man, no, yeah, bro. And not to interrupt you, but I'm gonna ask you this here, right?
yeah, you good, man.
In terms of comic books on page, who could you point to as a signature villain for the character of Cyborg? Like, what could be done to present Cyborg in a way to where you'd want to see him in an hour and a half, the 2 hour live action movie? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
could really be done there?
Mm,
Like,
if
what kind of mileage could be gained?
uh, um, terms on paper, maybe Brainiac, like
Okay,
battle with technology, but he'd have to
okay,
get established first. It was Superman. They can't even get him right in Superman. So an
noted.
hour and a half movie with an hour and a half movie with Cyborg. Who would you have as the villain? That is a very viable question, man. I mean, to this day, the most known iteration of the character is Teen Titans, the cartoon. Without
Yep,
Teen Titans, Cyborg is at his current status because of that Teen Titans cartoon on Cartoon Network. You
I
take that
agree.
away, Cyborg is nothing. Let's be real. Cyborg in the comic book, I know he has a personality in there or whatever, but let's be honest. It's Dick, it's Beast Boy, it's Raven Star. These are all characters who are leading, who have more of a mainstay, who have more of a name for themselves from that Teen Titans comic book than Cyborg. So it's his comedic aspect that's in the show that's different than his comic book form. And I heard the DC Rebirth run was pretty good for Cyborg. I heard that was a really good storyline. I'm gonna have to check that out eventually. But on
Mhm.
print and on paper, on Doomsday, on Doom Patrol, on Justice League, the best version of the character is arguably still on the cartoon. So, and in a comedic tone. So when you have this dark, brooding cyborg character with a dark, brooding Batman and kind of like a dark, brooding Superman, It's just he got left in the dark. He got left out in the dark, and for him to hashtag restore the Snyder, they didn't have a plan. I'm pretty sure Zack Snyder's, he's a fine dude, but he didn't have no real plans for a solo project with you, man. Like, let's be real. Like, there was no real plan to set you off with a movie trilogy. Like, Ant-Man got a movie trilogy.
Right.
You wouldn't even
Yep.
think Ant-Man. Like, look what they made Ant-Man. Look what Marvel did to a character of Ant-Man who had less
Yep.
mileage than Cyborg. Cyborg was the least exposed on a cartoon show to generations of people who grew up on it. Ant-Man didn't
Mm-hmm.
have shit. Guardians of the
Nope.
Galaxy didn't have shit. Look what Marvel is doing with these unknown properties and these unknown heroes, making them, homemade home names. And look at DC struggling. We fucked up Green Lantern once. We can never use them again. Well, we'll put them on HBO Max, and we won't even use fucking John Stewart. We have Cyborg. He's on Teen Titans cartoon. Well, we don't know what to do with him. Like, it's just DC is struggling to just get those characters who aren't Batman and Superman going. I mean, fuck, they're struggling with fucking Superman and Batman. So I don't know, man.
Right.
They can't even
So
nail their top tier characters. So how the fuck is their other tier characters gonna make it? I don't know, man. It's just
right.
an ugly situation, man.
Yeah, it is. And it's fucked up, man. Cause like it really shouldn't even. It should have never gotten to that point, man.
Yeah,
And the fact that this machine can continue to keep going at the expense of certain, of certain talents, of certain performers, there's something about that doesn't really sit right, man. And
yeah,
I, that's something that needs to be highlighted. And I don't know that in the future that something is going to be highlighted, man. I just watched the Fresh Prince of Bel Air reunion, which was great, by the way. You know what I'm saying? But
mm,
there's some things that got highlighted in there that put a lot of other situations into perspective. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
So, with that being said, I'm not even gonna lie to you. With this new angle that kind of was provided on all of this, man, look, whatever the Snyder cut is gonna end up being, the only thing that I could hope is that that character and that actor is given the right amount of light to where there's still something to be salvaged after all of that happens. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? Shout out to Ray Fisher. Shout out to John Boyega. Any shout out to Monique too, by the way, man.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm
Monique for
saying?
sure.
Yeah, yeah. Like shout out to any performers in this lane that are standing up for themselves in a certain situation to where they feel like they're not being treated the way that they should be treated because future generations might be able to benefit from whatever it is that they're going through now. You just
All
hope
right.
that they're being properly compensated at the end of the day.
For all you listeners out there, let us know what you think about the Ray Fisher situation. Has DC made the right moves? Is there an angle that maybe he should be doing instead of what he's currently doing? Can the character even be salvaged? Is this the end of Cyborg for live action? Let's be real here. After Doom Patrol, are we ever going to see Cyborg live action again? Let us know what you think in the comment section. With that, we're out.